Hello, my fellow nerds. This is the Nerd in Texas podcast. My name is Chanel. I am your hostess with the mostess. It is about TV shows, movies, books, and a sprinkle of video games, a sprinkle of comedy, a sprinkle of, behind scenes things of my life, a sprinkle of my kids. It's just a whole sprinkle of sprinkles. All the multicolored sprinkles. That's what this podcast is. If you are new to my podcast, hello. Welcome. I wish I could give you a big hug. I wish I could bring you in close and tell you how thankful I am that you're here and that you are listening. I have a Discord. So if you want to talk to me on my Discord, go to my website and all my information is there. I am actually struggling really bad today. I have to go to a tournament, Bailey softball tournament this weekend in San Antonio. It's like a 2-hour drive from here. We're going to go tonight. But for some reason, I don't know, my anxiety is really high. So this is actually like the 9th or 10th time that I have tried to do this podcast. And so I just gotta breathe. I can do this. I can do this. It's actually going to be a good podcast. So, what is this podcast today about, you ask? It is about the series finale of Supernatural. If you know me, if you've watched my past podcasts, my cast pods, you know that I do not like to watch the ending of things, because if I watch the end, that means it's over. That means it's no longer... it's gone. I think I just sounded like a 2-year-old who was like upset. That's how I feel though. I love that show. I've watched it since day one of when it first came out. Here I am. I was a teenager, totally in love with damn. I didn't mean to say damn. Totally in love with Dean Winchester. Now you can see how I'm struggling, because Dean... I didn't mean to say damn just to say damn. It's Dean and Sam Winchester, and I kind of mix the name, kind of like Brad Pitt and Angelina when they had their name. Never mind. I need to go to bed. But anyways, it's about Sam and Dean Winchester. And they grow up to be demon hunters and vampire hunters and monster hunters and angels that have gone bad hunters and just hunters. They help save the world over and over and over and over again. And of course, nobody knows that they help save the world. And I just love it. It also has Castiel, who's played by Misha Collins. He's like an amazing actor. Of course, I have a huge crush on Dean Winchester, because who doesn't? He's like the bad guy. Not the bad guy. He's like the bad boy. You know what I mean? That you fall for in high school. But he's also really funny. And me, if you have like a sense of humor, that's my thing. The sense of humor. Ooh, I just violated the #1 podcast rule. And I didn't put my phone on silent. But it is on silent now. So let's get to it. I'm not going to talk about from episode 1 all the way till now. I'm just going to talk about the last 2 episodes. Because you got to understand where I'm coming from. Okay? So I finally watched it in the car during Lily's cheer practice. Bailey's in the car with me. And I am bawling. I am like, what? Oh my God, no! You have no idea how bad I flipped out. I was like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. I was so mad and upset about one thing that happened. Everything else, the series finale was amazing, okay? It was not like Game of Thrones when it ended and it ended horribly. It's not like Dexter where the ending sucked. This ending was a good ending. There's just one thing that I was upset about. The one thing that I was crying my eyes about in the car with Bailey at Lily's cheer practice. So let's get into it. Let me tell you. So the episode before, Okay, the episode before the series finale is where Jack, who is the son of Lucifer, has to help take down Chuck. And Chuck is actually God, okay? God is actually a bad guy in this show, in this series, in this... Just imagine him as Thanos, okay? He's fed up with humanity. He's fed up with, like, everyone just... Yeah, he's just fed up. So he snaps the fingers and poof, everybody kind of, like, disappears, okay? And he leaves Sam and Dean and Jack by themselves because he feels like that is what will torture Sam and Dean the most, is not having anybody to save, not having anybody to get to know, like, just not having anybody that they love there. Dean finally finds a dog and, like, gets attached to a dog, and God finds out about it, snaps his finger, dog is gone, and you're like, why? Why take the dog? Okay, you can take it out on everybody else, but not the dog. I am that person. When an animal dies, I am more upset about the animal dying than I am about the person dying, okay? Just, that's me. Anyways, Sam and Dean Winchester are actually played by Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, and they actually live here in Austin. They live here in Austin, Texas, and Jensen Ackles actually has a brewing company here in Austin, in Dripping Springs. I've been trying so hard to make it out there to go see, but then COVID hit. I buy his beer at H-E-B. So good. I don't think I've had any of his beer that's bad. But that's a little off track. It's a little off track. If you are in Austin and in Dripping Springs, go check it out. Go check out his, well, once COVID hits. I follow the brewing company on Instagram. So this episode, it opens after Jack got rid of Chuck. Jack actually becomes God. He becomes the new God. Like, Chuck was such a bad God that now Jack is the new God, and he's a better one, and he just fixes things and all that fun stuff. And so, episode 15 opens up. I am so sorry I'm all over the place. I'm telling you, I'm struggling so hard today, but I love you, so let's do this. So, episode 15 opens up, and it's like an average day. They're cooking breakfast. They're doing their chores, stuff like that. They're kind of bored because there's no, like, supernatural activity going on. There's no ghosts to kill. Well, not kill, but you know what I mean. And it's when Dean finds out that there is a pie festival. And if you watch Supernatural, you know Dean loves pie. He just loves pie. And so they go to this pie festival. He's eating pie. Sam is kind of depressed because he misses Jack. He misses Castiel. Castiel's played by Misha Collins. Jack is played by Alexander Calvert. Castiel was actually an angel that was kind of like pushed out of heaven and living amongst people and just didn't really know how to do things or say things or anything like that. So that was kind of funny. Castiel sacrificed himself to I guess you can call it the void, to the empty. So, it didn't go after them. And so Sam is just missing his buddies, missing his pals. Yeah, so, God, this is so hard to explain without, like, explaining everything. So they go back to the bunker, which they have this supernatural bunker that tells them and alerts them whenever anything is bad's going on. And they find out that there is a new case involving kidnappings. Kidnappings of a kid and just a bunch of weird cases where, like, they kidnap... Okay, so they kill the dad. They cut the mom's tongue out, which doesn't show that. They just talk about it, so don't freak out. And they kidnap the kids, and they find out that it's actually vampires who are taking the kids. And the leader of the nest is Jenny, who is a young woman who had been turned into a vampire in season 1. So it's kind of like the way the season is starting is the way the series started is kind of like they're back to the story of when it started. they take down a lot of vampires. They take down Jenny. So they're in this tussle. They're in this tussle with 4 vampires, and they get the kids out. Like, they find the kids. They get the kids out. And this is when it happens. This is when the floodgates opened. This is when I bawled my eyes out. And I was not, I was just like, what? So a vampire pushes pushes Dean up against a wooden beam, and Dean gets, like, impaled by a metal tie, like those, I forget what they're called, steel rod looking things. And he's like, Sam, I'm not gonna be able to walk away from this. Like, you can't, so I'm watching this, and they're having this moment, and he's talking about how, like, you knew this is how it was gonna end for me, because he's dying. He's like, you knew this is how it was gonna end for me. It's been one hell of a ride. And, you know, Sam doesn't want him to die, and, like, Sam's finally like, dude, you have to tell me it's okay. And so Dean talks about, like, the night that he went back to go get Sam because he needed Sam's help. Sam was going to college at Stanford University. He said he almost didn't go get Sam because he didn't want Sam to be a part of that life. He didn't want, you know, he also feared that Sam would reject him. Like, Sam would tell him to F off, and he didn't want to be a part of it or whatever. And so they're having this whole brother moment, and both me and Bailey look at each other, and we're like, dude, an ambulance would have been there by now. Like, an ambulance would have been able to help him by now. Like, he doesn't, like, pull him off of this board or this beam that's holding him up or holding him together because he feels like he's just gonna, like, fall apart and bleed all over the place, which is true. If they do pull him off, it's like, you know. But he could have called an ambulance, and it could have shown up by then. Like, ugh. And so here I am crying. Here's Bailey, like, making fun of me for crying. And then it just shows Sam. It shows, I'm even, like, trying not to get upset right now. It shows Sam, like, by himself. He's alone in the bunker. He has the dog. He has, like, a hunter's funeral for Dean, which they have, like, this whole thing for hunters. And then he's in the, like, it just, like, seeing him alone in the bunker broke my heart. Like, just, like, it killed me. It killed me. Like, I'm trying really hard not to think about it right now. And so they have all these phones where people can get a hold of them. And he's in Dean's room, and the phone starts going off. And so he answers it, and it's some guy. And the thing I noticed right off the bat, because remember I told you they're from Austin, the thing I noticed right off the bat is it had an Austin area code on it. I was like, Bailey, that's an Austin number. And then so he's on the phone, and the guy on the phone was like, hey, this is Sheriff so-and-so, and I'm in Austin. And I was like, I told you. And we have these weird cases going on where bodies are popping up and they have no hearts. Like, hearts are being ripped out. So Sam is like, okay, he leaves the bunker. He leaves the bunker. Oh, me just thinking about how the bunker, all the lights are off. Nobody's in there. Nobody's there. Dean's not there. Sam's not there. Cass is not there. Jack is not there. And everybody's just not. It's just lonely. This bunker that's not even real. It's empty. Like, see, this is why I can't watch the end of things. Except the end of Game of Thrones really sucked. But anyways. So, you find out that Dean goes to heaven. And he's reunited with Bobby, Uncle Bobby, calls everybody an idiot instead of an idiot, and I love it. Uncle Bobby was a father figure to him after Sam and Dean's parents died. If you don't know, Sam and Dean's dad was played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan himself. He's been in a lot of movies. He's been in The Walking Dead. All that. They even have like a little. There's an episode where they put like where Dean throws Lucille down on a table, and he was like, "Oh, this was Dad's favorite," because they went and killed a bunch of vampires. But so Dean finds out that, like, not only is Bobby there, but so is his mom and dad, and they're, living together. Like, it's just heaven. It's just his heaven. And then, oh, God, it's just so heartbreaking. Anyway, it's not heartbreaking, but what bothered me the most is the way Dean died, okay? If you've watched Supernatural, you know that he has died a bunch of times, actually, by being, like, possessed by the devil. He's been, like, possessed by all kinds of things, and he dies, but comes back because Death, the person who plays Death, the Grim Reaper, brings him back because he's got, a higher purpose. The Grim Reaper ends up being a bad guy. Death ends up becoming a bad guy in the show. It's just... My whole thing is him being impaled by a piece of metal from a vampire pushing him into it. That was not a great, it was not a big enough death for me. Like, Dean is the type of person who would sacrifice himself and become possessed by the devil or be killed by the devil to save Dean or to save Sam and to save the world. So I feel like his death should have been a situation where he, sacrificed himself or gave himself up to save the world. That would have been his warrior's death. That's how he really should have gone out. It's still, like I said, it's still a good show. It was still a good ending. I just feel like his death should have been something bigger. So Bobby says something like, well, Sam will be here eventually. Time passes by differently. And so Uncle Bobby's like, so now that you know all this, and, because Jack is actually the one who changed heaven, because Uncle Bobby, was actually not allowed to be in heaven. See, this has ended up being a longer story than I wanted it to be. He's actually not allowed to be in heaven, and so Dean was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, Jack, your boy, because he kind of, raised Jack. He changed everything. Because God was such a crappy God. That sounds so bad to say. Okay, I'm not going to say that. Chuck was a crappy God. Okay, so, oh man, I'm probably going to go to hell for just, accidentally saying that. But Chuck was a crappy God and put all these walls up and put all these rules and did all this crazy stuff. And Jack fixed everything and took everything down and allowed Uncle Bobby to be in heaven and allowed for the boys to be in heaven and all kinds of things. And so Bobby was like, Dean, what are you going to do? And then Dean looks over and sees the Impala. And if you know Supernatural, Impala is it's their baby. He calls it, that's my baby. He treats the Impala better than he treats Sam. And yeah, so you go back to Sam, he's, mourning Dean, and he goes to Austin, and then all of a sudden, it shows him, and he has a little boy, and so you assume he got married, and then it just kind of had flashbacks to the past, and then you see that Sam named his son Dean, and then another flashback, and another time loop, or time jump, or whatever you want to call it, and the son's a little bit older, and they're playing catch, and his wife is on the porch. And then another time jump to where they're a little bit older, and Sam's helping him with his son's homework. And then another time jump, and another time jump, until Sam is, old and dying. And his son, who's now older, he walks in, and he has a tattoo. So in Supernatural, if you have this tattoo, which is like a pentagram, but it's on fire, there's kind of like the Godsmack flames. That's what I think of. I think of Godsmack. And then they have a pentagram in the middle. and it, like, prevents demons from possessing you. So you see that his son has this tattoo on his arm, so you can tell that they probably still hunt demons and they still do all that fun stuff and pass it down to his son, and then his son kind of tells him, like, it's okay, you can go now. Everything is fine, everything is safe. And so Sam passes away as an old man in his bed, and Dean is, like, hanging out on a bridge somewhere. I don't know. There's, like, the woods and mountains, and it's really pretty, and there's a river, and the next thing you know, Dean is like, "What's up, Sam?" Because he knows Sam is there, and he looks over, and there's Sam, and he's young Sam. And so my whole thing is, why couldn't Dean have that? One, like, if you're gonna kill off Dean, make sure, like I said, he has a better death than that. A better, like, sacrificing himself type of death. Okay? 2, why couldn't they let Dean have that? Like, I don't see Dean as the getting married type of dude, because he's not. In the show, he has, like, love interests. He's not a get married and have kids kind of type. But I feel like at the same time, he would have, if he did have kids, it would be like a baby mama situation, and he'd probably find them later on as adults and teach them how to be hunters. And here I am creating a storyline for somebody who doesn't even exist. But I just feel like Dean should have gone out bigger. Should have, like, I don't know. Yeah, he saved 2 kids, but from someone who saved the world 50 million times and has sacrificed himself a whole bunch of times to save Sam and to save the world, I feel like that's how he should have gone out, was by saving the world and sacrificing him. But a little info about Supernatural is it debuted back in 2005, and Supernatural holds the record as the longest running fantasy series in the history of American television, and its reputation of one of the TV's greatest genres will undoubtedly carry on. So what does that mean for Sam, and well, not for Sam and Dean, but for Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki? Jared Padalecki is now Walker in the new Walker, Texas Ranger. I haven't watched it yet. I know a bunch of episodes are out. Maybe I will this weekend in the hotel room. Jensen Ackles is actually going to be a part of The Boys. The Boys is on Amazon. It's an Amazon Prime series. It is like, The Boys is like a rated R version of the Justice League. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, you have a rated R version of Superman, of Wonder Woman, of like a rated R version of Aquaman. It's definitely rated R. There's a lot of, like, drug use, sexuality, just actually just a lot of weird stuff. That's all I gotta say. I love the show. I actually love The Boys. It's really good. I just wouldn't recommend it for kids right now. So, with all of that being said, I had someone in my Discord recommend something, Jojo Rabbit, so I'm going to watch that and do a podcast about that because they want to know my opinion on that. Next week, my girls have spring break, so they won't be in school, so I'm going to do an episode, like an anime episode with Bailey, whether she knows it or not, or likes it or not. And then I'm going to do an episode about Lord of the Rings next week, just because it's a series that I love also, and I can't have a nerd podcast and not talk about Lord of the Rings. That would be another rule that I'm breaking. I'm also kind of jumping out of my comfort zone a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to do a video. I wanted to stream on Twitch, but today just wasn't my day. Today just wasn't the right day, and ended up not happening. But I did do a thing. I did do a thing that is out of my comfort zone. I had someone tell me, like, dude, you should be on TikTok. TikTok could really boost your podcast. And my whole thing is, like, I actually don't like TikTok. I don't like being on video. I can't do all those I can do the dances, but I don't want people to see me do the dances. I do them in my living room to embarrass Bailey and nobody sees it. Like, I don't want to do the dances and somebody sees it, if that makes any sense. But someone was like, hey, I can tell by in your podcast and in your voice and how you talk that you are a very, like, animated person. And so I was like, I've been told that a few times. And they said, you should do an acting challenge on TikTok. Like, they have acting challenges. And so I pretty much did the first one that popped up. I was super scared, super nervous, had really bad anxiety about it. But I did it. I even messaged my buddy Kevin and was like, oh my God, I did this. Do I post it? Like, do I have people see this? Like I said, I do TikTok dances in my living room where nobody sees it. I can do these acting challenges and have nobody see it, you know. What should I do? And he was like, hold on. So he watched it, and his daughter Cassie watched it, and Cassie messaged me and was like, post it! And so I did, and I might not have, like, a lot of, like, views or anything like that on TikTok, but when I posted on Facebook, I had people message me. I had someone call me last night and be like, oh my God, that was so good. And so if you find me on TikTok, I'm doing, like, these acting challenges. I post them on my Instagram. I post them on my Facebook. Remember, I'm not an actress. I'm not a movie critic, anything like that. A lot of this is just for fun. But yeah, I am actually kind of shocked at how many people liked it and how many people said I was good. I was like, that was just me messing around. It was like a vintage acting challenge, and it shows a guy. I have no idea who this guy is. It's just a random thing on TikTok. And he has, like, he puts on a hat and he's talking, and, like, it's almost like a black and white movie. And he said, what does he say? And he says something like, are you nearly ready? And so I put, like, I act like I'm putting an earring in my ear. And one of the lines is like, nearly, how do I look? How do I look? And so I actually went back to TikTok and saw more of those. And I was like, I accidentally copied somebody who did the same thing. Like, another girl was pretending to put in an earring and was like, but she didn't do the accent. I did. Don't mean to sound all conceited or anything. But yeah. Nearly. How do I look? You know, it's kind of like that. Like, one of the things is just like, what was the other one? You look like a diamond. A diamond? A diamond? What was the other? Yeah. So, I'm going to do another one today. So, look forward to that. And, yeah, just thank you for listening to me, man. Thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for, just thank you. Like, I can't even, like I said, I'm struggling really bad. If you like my podcast, I don't blame you for not liking this one because I'm struggling so hard. Normally I struggle this bad on Mondays. I don't know why I'm struggling this bad today. It's Friday. I should be happy it's Friday. It's the Friday before spring break. I should be happy, you know, but I'm kind of having anxiety. I don't know why. But, if you like my podcast and like to leave me a tip in my virtual tip jar, you can go to my Ko-fi page. All that information is on my website, Facebook, all that fun stuff. So go to nerdintexas.com if you have anything you want me to talk about, books, TVs, movie, video games, let me know. And I'll do as much as I can to watch it and let you know how I think about it or how I feel about it. So with that being said, this is the end of my podcast. I love every single one of you. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be nice to one another. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Peace, love, and everything nerdy. Bye.